The sun had long set over the rolling hills of the San Francisco Bay Area, leaving only the flickering streetlights and the occasional glow of a car's headlights cutting through the darkness. It was the late 1960s, an era of revolution, free love, and change, but also an era of terror. Somewhere in the shadows lurked a figure who would become one of the most infamous and elusive serial killers in American history. The first known attack happened on the night of December 20th, 1968. It was an evening like any other for high school sweethearts Betty Lou Jensen and David Faraday. The young couple, brimming with youth and possibility, had gone out for a night of fun, but their journey would take a dark turn when they pulled into a quiet lover's lane along Lake Herman Road. No one knows exactly how it unfolded, but the outcome was clear. Both were shot in cold blood, their lives snuffed out before they had even truly begun. Investigators arrived to find Betty Lou lying motionless on the ground, riddled with bullets, while David, though clinging to life for a brief moment, succumbed shortly after. There was no apparent motive, no robbery, no known enemies. It was an act of violence with no clear explanation. 6 months passed, the case growing cold as detectives searched for a lead that never materialized. Then, on July 4th, 1969, another couple was targeted. Darlene Ferrin and Mike Mageau had parked at Blue Rock Springs Park, enjoying the warm summer night, when they were ambushed. A car pulled up beside them, its headlights suddenly blinding them. The driver stepped out, approached their vehicle, and, without warning, opened fire. Mike, though gravely wounded, survived. Darlene did not, but this time, the killer wasn't content to let his work go unnoticed. Just minutes after the attack, a call came into the Vallejo Police Department. The voice on the other end was eerily calm. "I want to report a murder," the caller said. He provided the location of the crime and details only the killer could know before uttering a chilling statement. "I also killed those kids last year." The line went dead. It was the beginning of a twisted game. Weeks later, letters began arriving at local newspapers, the San Francisco Chronicle, the Vallejo Times-Herald, and the San Francisco Examiner. They were written in a peculiar, almost taunting style. The writer claimed responsibility for the murders, describing the killings in gruesome detail. But there was something else. A cipher, a strange coded message filled with seemingly random symbols and letters. He demanded the newspapers print it on their front pages, or he would kill again. Authorities scrambled to decipher the meaning behind the cryptic symbols. Experts, amateur sleuths, and cryptographers pored over the text. Then, just as tension reached its peak, a schoolteacher and his wife in Salinas cracked the code. It was not the revelation authorities had hoped for. The message, though chilling, provided no real identity, only the unhinged musings of a murderer. "I like killing people because it is so much fun." The signature at the bottom? A simple yet terrifying moniker, Zodiac. His reign of terror continued. On September 27, 1969, college students Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard were picnicking at Lake Berryessa when a man approached them. Unlike the previous attacks, this one was different. He was in costume. A black hood covered his head, a white crosshair symbol sewn onto his chest. He carried a gun, but he didn't use it immediately. Instead, he produced a length of rope and methodically bound the terrified couple's hands behind their backs. Then, with a large knife, he began his grim work. Brian survived, barely clinging to life as he watched his girlfriend take her final breaths. As before, the Zodiac made sure his presence was known. Before leaving, he scrawled a message on the victim's car door, marking the scene with his sinister symbol. Despite the increasing efforts of police, he struck again just weeks later. October 11, 1969. A cab driver named Paul Stein was shot point-blank in the head in San Francisco's Presidio Heights. It was an unusual departure from the Zodiac's usual pattern, and the city was gripped with fear. But this time, there was a witness, several, in fact. Nearby teenagers had seen the man through the cab's window, even watching as he wiped the scene clean of fingerprints before walking away into the night. A police dispatcher made a crucial mistake, broadcasting an incorrect suspect description as a black male rather than a white male. Officers even reported seeing a man matching the Zodiac's appearance that night, but due to the incorrect description, let him go. The letters kept coming. Some contained more ciphers, some carried taunts directed at the police. Others contained chilling threats. "I will torture all 13 of my slaves before I reach paradise," he wrote, claiming he had already taken more lives than the police realized. He seemed to revel in the fear he generated. At one point, he threatened to attack a school bus, detailing his plan to shoot the front tire and pick off the kiddies as they come bouncing out. Panic gripped the city. Parents hesitated to send their children to school, and police began escorting buses. Months passed. The killings seemed to stop, but the letters continued. In 1974, the Zodiac's final known letter arrived. It was brief, referencing the movie The Exorcist and declaring it the best satirical comedy that I have ever seen. Then, nothing. He vanished as suddenly as he had appeared. No more letters, no more taunting, only silence. Decades passed and theories flourished. Amateur detectives, journalists, and professionals all attempted to unmask him. There were suspects. Arthur Lee Allen, a convicted child molester with connections to the Bay Area, was the prime suspect for years, but nothing definitive tied him to the crimes. In 2021, a team of independent investigators claimed to have identified the Zodiac as Gary Francis Post, a man with a violent past. Yet even this revelation was met with skepticism, as authorities stated they lacked the evidence to confirm it beyond a doubt. To this day, the Zodiac killer remains an enigma. His ciphers, some still unsolved, continue to baffle experts. His identity, despite countless investigations, remains uncertain, and his eerie letters, his calculated murders, his complete disappearance. It all lingers in the shadowed corridors of American crime history, a chilling reminder of a monster who walked among us, taunting, killing, and vanishing into the night.